My name is Choon Ean. I'm a Malaysian, and hence my sharing today will be about a recent road trip around the Peninsula Malaysia. So just a little bit of background. This year, I was trying to find old stereographs of Malaysia, and I mean before we became Malaysia, we were known as Malaya, and I managed to find some Viewmaster reels, 3 reels I think, and yeah, and it actually took a while to track any down, and I was really happy that I could find at least this. And also I found a stereo card, and interestingly enough, it was of a hut, a house in Penang, which is where I'm based. I stay in Penang, although right now I'm in Petaling Jaya, which is near the capital city. And I guess, it kind of hit me that it was actually very hard to track down old stereographs of Malaysia. And so hence I decided this year I'm gonna try to take more stereos of my own country. So I was moving around in Penang. I was trying to find a similar modern day scene of that stereo card in Penang, but the closest I could do was in this space or scene in Balik Pulau, which is the west of Penang Island, but although the hut was not really the same, but at least they had coconut trees, and this is a wider image of that photograph that I was really happy with, I think. Yeah, so to give where we are, to give a big picture of where I am or where Malaysia is. Okay, so Malaysia is part of Asia, and it consists of I don't know whether you can see my cursor, but there's Peninsula Malaysia on the left, and there's 2 states on the right, on the island of Borneo, which makes up about 13 states, and also we have 3 federal territories. So yeah, so a few months back, I decided that, with a couple of friends, we decided to take a road trip around Malaysia and of the Malaysian Peninsula. And this is my route. So I started from Penang Island at the top west, and then went down to these different places, went down to Perak, different places in Perak, and to Malacca and to Johor, which is at the bottom, and then went back up to Petaling Jaya and KL to cut across into Pahang, which Lake Chinny is, and then up towards Kuantan and along the coastal, the east coastal highway to Kuala Terengganu, Kota Baru, and then cut back across in the northern highway back to Perak, Kedah, and then back to Penang Island. So that's my rough route. I think I must have taken like about 10,000 photos, so it was actually a big feat to just, figure out what I want to share. And although I won't share from every stop I made, I think I sort of a rough plan of what I wanted to share as some of my highlights in stereo. I guess first we should start in Penang itself, Penang Island. This is a top-down drone shot of the UNESCO World Heritage Site of Georgetown. and it's known for its shop houses and a lot of it from the ground it looks kind of like this, where there's actually supposed to be a walkway or 5-foot way, or we call it kaki lima, which means 5-foot way, and so that people can walk through the arches and to keep out of the sun and of the rain. So this is one of the typical architecture that is inherent in many of the towns in Malaysia, as well as other colonial or British colonial countries. So this is what the 5-foot way looks like, and you can walk through it. And back to the road, you have many scenes, very interesting scenes, that kind of dot the streets. So okay, so we're ready to jump into the car and take off. Well, I guess the first stop that we made was actually in Perak and Kuala Kangsar. This was the old royal palace of the Sultanate at that time. I just want to make a mention of most of the stereos here are taken by mobile phones. And I use the cha-cha method. But this is one example of how, well, this is what I call a car cha-cha, where you would put a camera out the window and then we would drive a little bit to the right. And this was actually held, this camera was held by my friend, who I think this was her first cha-cha thing, where I said, okay, hold the camera, and then I would like drive forward, okay, click again, so, and it came out pretty nice. Yeah. So some of the photos I'll be showing will adopt this method, where we just, I just drive, put the camera out and drive forward and backward if I want to do it a few times. So this is the Royal Palace, which is really a beautiful building and a piece of architecture. And we stopped there. It was our first stop, and felt it was my father was actually born in this town of Kuala Kangsar, so it was nice to kind of drop by again and see this space. And as you can see, a little bit more in depth of what the walls and the typical Malay accents of the wooden carvings on the stairs, as well as on the verandas and the balconies. So next landmark is in further south in Teluk Intan, the town of Teluk Intan. And this is what Malaysians claim as their leaning tower. And it's the leaning tower of Teluk Intan. It's a clock tower, and I've actually no idea why it leans, but yeah, it's a nice spot to visit. It's always, and at night it kind of lights up and changes color. It's a reflection of the clock tower on the floor. And then just one more for the road when the sun is setting. So nearby, we kind of bought our or packed our dinner and went out to this space where we could see the sunset over a little bit of water, and this I took many of these, and basically we sat in the car with mosquitoes outside, and here and there I would go left and right in my car, drive left and right in order to get a few stops of the sunset. So I'm showing you two. This is one. This one is later. Okay, so now we're going to go into a series of scenes that I see something and then I stop on the road. So there was a lot of parts of the journey of the road trip that we were like, hey, that looks interesting. Then we would like reverse back or pull to the side to so that I could get a stereo of the different interesting things. This is like a very weirdly grown papaya tree. And this is from the other angle where you can actually see the papaya. Banana trees in a really very, very small country lane. I won't even call it a road that we found ourselves going kind of going up and down on. I think it was a very rocky little lane, but there was a banana tree. I mean, I wound down, this is when I wound down my window and I probably could like just pluck it if I wanted to, but instead I shot it instead. So I'm quite attracted to weird stuff. I was like, we were just driving through this little village and there was this interesting saw, broken up dry saw with a chair, and so it just attracted me, and then I would snap a photo. This is also cha-cha by car. Another interesting thing, it's like I've never seen this before, where there's just a random little hub of PowerPoints. I'm not sure whether, it looks like one is working. So one of the very interesting stops, sad but interesting, was what this Lake Chini, where it was this is a resort, this entrance a resort, and it looks like the resort has been abandoned, and it's struggling to keep its UNESCO World Heritage site status. And when we went there, we could really see why. Things were, it was like a abandoned resort. It's almost eerie a little bit, but it was a very interesting off the road stop for us. We went out to the lake. You can kind of see the Chini Lake at through the trees, but I was very, very interested in seeing how or just imagining how that resort used to be. There were steps going into the water front, but obviously it's overgrown. So I thought it was quite an interesting highlight. It's sad but interesting. So other things that make me pull aside and snatch out my camera would be scenes like this that remind me of that stereo card of that hut. So this is some of the photos that are in this orientation or this configuration, taken with the Fuji W3 3D camera. And this was also a very a spot where we like, hey, that looks really interesting. So we backed up, and put to the side and crossed over. And there's just this house on stilts that was in the middle of a field, which was really attractive. and then there's this lone pole with a wire going in. I'm not sure what it was connecting, but because it was not connected anywhere else, so that was quite interesting to me. Other things that you see on Malaysian off-road highways would be things like this, like stalls that sell fruits, and anggo means grapes, so this stall was selling baby grapes. So with that, maybe we will take a food break, and this is a series of meals that we had. One of the good things is seafood in this particular town with a fried brinjal or aubergine in the background. It was very good. I'm sorry to those who haven't eaten yet and are hungry, but yeah. And this is what we call Nyonya Laksa, and with that coffee with ice cubes made out of coffee, which is really nice. Satay, I think most people are familiar with satay. In the background, there's otak-otak, which is like kind of fish cakes, I think, that you burn in those leaves. This is called, this only works in stereo, because when you see it in 1 dimension or 2 dimension, it's just flat. But it's actually called, this particular food is actually called poison noodles with a gearbox. Yeah, so I mean the gearbox is there because it looks like a gearbox, and the straw is inside the mutton bone marrow, so you can like suck it up from the bone. So that's gearbox. This is salted egg squid, one of my favorite things. I have to say it's really super high in cholesterol, but if you die faster, it's probably worth it. And it's a traditional Malay rice dish called Nasi Daga, Nasi, and it had really good fish and super tender beef. This is called Nasi Kerabu, with different spices and different herbs in it. And so this particular dish we got by just stopping at a roadside restaurant, and they were like just what you call it, bakar. They were grilling or barbecuing the red meat, the chicken that you saw earlier on. Yeah. And this is called Wonton Mee, which is noodles with dumplings. And this shop actually belongs to my friend's family, and this is her brother preparing the noodles in his shop. So as you can see, food is very big in Malaysia, and one of the interesting things to do is to go see where to find and where to buy food or ingredients to prepare the food, and a lot of times it's going to markets. So this next few images are about markets. So it's a sundry, all sorts of things you can get from this particular stall in the market. I mean, these are scenes from different markets around Peninsula Malaysia. We recently celebrated our independence. So Merdeka means freedom or independence. So many of the places you see our flag. This is she's selling meat floss. plus other things. And we found that most of the people selling or making santan means coconut milk, seem to be very friendly. You know, I managed to catch at least two santan sellers in different states, in different markets, who were really, really happy to pose and smile to the camera. So yeah, as you can see, we really like markets a lot, and it was nice. Opposite that particular market was another example of kaki lima, or 5 foot way, and you can see more in this particular town is Malacca. You can see more life on the 5 foot ways. It's another 5 foot way in a different town called Sungai Lembing, which the next few photos, I thought we would. This is a very special town. It's a very small village, actually. It's not really a town. Maybe it's between a town and a village in terms of size. It's called Sungai Lembing. Sungai means river, and it's known for mining in the old days. So next, opposite that restaurant was, you know, this is typical scene, or maybe not so typical, but it's an interesting scene that you can see around Malaysia, where you have an Indian young lady or student praying to a Chinese shrine, or at a Chinese shrine, to a Chinese deity, I think. So this whole town was very beautiful and picturesque. So the town is divided into 2 parts. One on this side of the river, Lembing River, and the other side. So we crossed to the other side, and there's a little very nice enclave of houses. So which was made it a very nice stroll. And this also my transition from houses to boats. So what better way to do that than to see a houseboat? This is in Tasik, Temenggong Lake. And I'm actually going there in a couple of weeks' time, because 2 friends are getting married on a houseboat. So you can rent beds out, and they take you out onto the lake. So this particular area of the lake is, I think, it's between repairing boats and building boats and letting boats rest in peace. I think it's between a shipyard and a graveyard. Yeah, so we go to a different shipyard in a different state. I thought this was nice. Berkat means blessing in Malay. And so one of the fisher docks nearby. So this is example of a fishing jetty that goes out to next to the sea. Some fisherman resting before he has to go out again, or resting after he comes back, maybe. A bit of detail of a boat, a fishing boat. And then this is an example of a jetty that is, just now we saw one that is next to the sea. This is next to the river. So you can see the fishing boats are very different. And then you have a fishing boat that is just up on the beach. So yeah, and we're coming to the end of my presentation. This is the shadows of my 2 other travel mates on the road trip, and I was really thankful for them going around with me and being very, very patient as I took many, many stereos with different cameras at times. It's like, okay, wait, I need to take one with this camera, then I'm going to take one with that camera, and take one with another camera. I had about 3 cameras, I think. Yeah, so they were with me as we chased down sunrises and sunsets. and this is the sunset that I will end with. And it's actually, this same sunset is reflected in the window of my car. You can recognize the different trees. So yeah, thank you for staying with me.